Welcome to the castle, everyone. Come on in and take a seat. My name is Alex. I am your player, your GM, your host for A Table for One, a solo actual play podcast. Last time, Rorik and Jaina and Grub, they managed to defeat the lady, a phantom who was guarding some sort of a tomb in Rittermound. And, well, once Rorik opened the sarcophagus and took what was inside, the Wight came back, and that's where we're actually going to start today. So let's not mince words. We have some initiative to draw. We're going to draw for Rorik, then Jaina, and then Grub, and then finally the Wight. Now remember, the Wight has a ferocity of 2, so that means I'll be drawing 2 cards for him. So for Rorik, we have a 6. Okay. For Jaina, we have a 10. Uh-oh. It looks like our bad luck streak is going to continue from last time. For Grub, we have a 3, so it looks like Grub is going first, unfortunately. Potentially, I should say. We have the Wight at number 8 and number 1. Oh boy, so the Wight does get to go first. And so the Wight has kind of risen from the ground where Rorik and Jaina and Grub have fought the lady, so we have that big open space. He's looking pretty dapper in all that shiny armor, which before he was kind of old and rusted, but now it's all gleaming and new looking. So this is an empowered Wight. So that means he does actually have his armor rating this time around. That's kind of a mistake I made last time we fought him. So this time I'm gonna remember that this guy has a armor of 8. That's right, this guy is going to be a formidable foe for our heroes. So Rorik and Jaina and even Grub have managed to prepare their weapons before this Wight has come up. And so Rorik has his World Breaker with his shield. Jaina has her hands ready to cast some magic. And Grub, well, he's still got that torch. He's kind of been made the torch bearer since Rorik does not want to carry it around. And so Rorik's just got a torch. He's kind of put away his short sword and kind of went well against the lady, because remember, for some reason undead things are weak against fire, and the torch does deal fire damage, as Grub has managed to figure out. So what exactly is the Wight going to do? Well, I have my d6, so let's roll to find out. That is a 6. So right off the bat, he's coming at us with a power attack. With creaking joints, the Wight swings its weapon in a powerful attack against a character. The damage is rolled with twice the weapon's normal number of dice, and the victim is knocked to the ground. The attack can be parried. And I think it only makes sense that the Wight is going to go after Rorik. Now, we need to do is roll for a parry. So Rorik does have his shield, and he's going to use that to try to parry the Wight, but we do need to make a sword check to see if we are successful with that. So let's see what happens. We got a 3, so yes, Rorik manages to strike back with his shield, but there's going to be another complication, because the Wight does indeed need to roll for damage. So twice the number of damage. And for Morningstar, that's going to be 2d8 points of damage. So for this power attack, we're actually rolling 4d8. I looked high and low for all the cursed dice that I could find for this guy, and I managed to find 4d8, so we're gonna go ahead and roll and see what the damage is. So the way this works is the shield has a durability of 15, so as long as the Wight deals lower than 15 points of damage, the shield is still good. But if he deals over 15 points, that means the shield is going to become unusable. So let's see what happens. Ooh. 4, 8, 12, 14 points of damage going right to that shield. We were off just by 1. Rorik is one lucky fella. So I'm going to do something a little bit different here for Grub. We're either going to have him do something, or he's going to cower in fear of this Wight. Now, he has fought the Wight before, sorta, but he's also fought a ghost. He's been damaged. And so we're gonna test his will a little bit. I'm gonna ask the Oracle dice here to see if our friend Grub can keep his wits about him. Is he going to be able to do something, or is he gonna be scared? No. But so for this, I think that it's going to be one turn that he's going to be unable to do something, and then he's going to quickly recover. So he's going to lose a turn here, but he will be back. And so with that being said, it is now Rorik's turn. And Rorik, he's already blocked one, and I think we should probably go ahead and take off use some willpower there, because I did parry, so that actually takes our turn right there. And so for defensive, that's going to cost us 3 willpower points, and Rorik has 9, so he can at least use that 2 more times. So that means Rorik is still able to attack, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and roll to see if Rorik can somehow do some damage to this Wight that's empowered. So let's see what happens. An 8 is successful, so that would be 2d8 plus a d4. And hey, look at that, I got some d8s now. Plus our d4, and let's go ahead and see what happens. We've done 11 points of damage right there. Minus 8 makes 3 damage. And remember, the Wight has like 38 HP, so he's down to 35. Unfortunately, it is the Wight's turn yet again, and so we have our d6. Let's see what happens. A 1. Unholy roar. The Wight's decomposed skull contorts and lets out a ghastly scream that cuts like a rusty blade through the character's soul. Everyone within 10 meters suffers a fear attack. Ooh boy, that is not good, especially because that is an attack that's going to affect everyone. So the way that fear works is that this is going to be a will check for all characters, and for Grub, he's going to have the standard 10. We'll probably come up with some sort of stats for him a little bit later, but for now it's just going to be a standard 10. Rorik has a will of 9, and Jaina has a will of 15. So at least somebody will have passed this, possibly. So my dice are all different colors. Grub has green, Rorik has the standard black, and then Jaina has the white. So let's see what happens. And as I feared, only one person has passed their fear check, and that is, of course, Jaina. She managed to get through with a 13. Rorik had a 16, and Grub had a 13, so they both need to roll on the fear table. I'm going to roll both at the same time. Rorik is still going to have a black d8, while Grub will have the green d8. And so let's see what happens to both of them. Rorik has a 7, so he is paralyzed. So that means he is petrified with terror and unable to move. He cannot perform any action or movement until his next turn. Make another will roll on each subsequent turn, not an action, to break the paralysis. While Grub has a 5, so he's going to scream. He screams in horror, which causes all player characters who hear the sound to immediately suffer a fear attack as well. Each person only ever needs to make one will to resist the same fear attack. That's really awkward because Rorik is already under the influence of fear, so I'm going to say that's probably going to negate that, but I am going to roll for Jaina again. So she is going to roll again. Remember, 15 or under for Jaina. That is an 8, so yes, she is successful yet again to steel herself against the fear. And so Grub is just standing there with his torch just screaming. Rorik is paralyzed with fear from the Wight's own scream attack. And now it is Jaina's turn. So what can she do? I think we're in a bit of a pickle here because I don't think that it's going to be feasible that we're going to win without taking a lot of losses. And I think Jaina is going to know that as well. And so I think Jaina is going to try to buy Rorik and Grub some time here. So she's going to use Gust of Wind, and her hope is that she can push the Wight back away from Rorik and Grub, and then they need to run because this thing is pretty powerful. He's already managed to scare Rorik and Grub, and she's pretty much out of magic. And so unfortunately, with 3 willpower points, she can only cast this at power level 1. So that means we do need to roll to see if she can hit. Hopefully she does, or else this spell's gonna fizzle and she wasted that WP for nothing. She has a 13 in elementalism, so let's see what happens. A 13 right on the dot is successful. I've got my 2d4 ready, so let's see how much damage and more importantly, how far back she's pushing this Wight. 1 and 3 make 4 points of damage. Unfortunately, the Wight is not going to receive any of that damage because of his armor, but he is getting pushed back. And then Jaina is going to run. She's going to run down the hall in the hopes that Rorik and Grub will follow after her. And with that, we need to draw for initiative. So Rorik, Jaina, Grub, then the Wight twice. So for Rorik, we have a 4. Respectable, okay. For Jaina, we have a 1, so she is going first. For Grub, a 5, okay. We could potentially go before the Wight, let's hope. A 3, so he is unfortunately going second. And again, a 7, so he is going last. So luck is kind of on our side. Maybe it will turn up. We'll see. So I think, oh man, this is actually a really tough one because Jaina is going first. Does she leave her brother there, or what is going to happen? And I think ultimately she is going to trust that he is going to follow, and she is going to make her way further down. So I think it really only makes sense that she is going to dash, which will double her movement. So instead of 10 meters, she can move 20 meters or 10 squares on this map that I have. So she's gonna end up in the tunnel path leading to the antechamber. It's rather unfortunate, but the Wight is going now. So let's see what he's going to do. Our D6, let's see what happens. A 5. Crippling cold. The Wight grabs an unfortunate player character who feels the chill of death spread through their body. The victim takes D6 damage, armor has no effect, and must make an evade roll, not an action, on their next turn in order to act at all. If the roll fails, a new attempt can be made on their next turn. The victim also becomes cold and cannot heal HP or WP until they get warm. So here we go, we do need to make a choice. Is it going to be Rorik or is it going to be Grub? And we're gonna roll a d6. So odds will be Rorik, evens will be Grub. That is a 1, so it's gonna be Rorik. So the Wight is going to do d6 points of cold damage, and that is 5 right there. Luckily, we managed to heal Rorik up all the way, so he still has 9 points left. Unfortunately, it is now Rorik's turn, and we're in a bit of a pickle because he does need to make a will save in order to act, but then he also needs to make an evade check in order to act. So this is like double trouble for him right here. So let's go ahead and we're gonna roll for will first. His will is at 9, so we need a 9 or under. So a 3 definitely makes it right there. So he's not scared, but now we do need to make an evade. And he does get a Bane on evasion because he's wearing armor, actual good armor. His evasion is at 10, so he does stand sort of a chance of making this, but let's see what happens. A 7 and a 17 do not make it, unfortunately, which means he will have to try to make that save yet again next round. It is now Grub's turn. So what can Grub do? I think he sees the Wight kind of touch Rorik and freeze him. So Rorik definitely has like frost all over him. And I think what Grub is going to do, he's going to do something rather silly. He's going to attack Rorik with the torch. So that's going to be 2d6 points right there. And his hope is that he can unfreeze Rorik in a sense. And so let's see what happens. A 4 and a 3 make 7. But Rorik is wearing armor, which negates 4 of that. So he takes 3 points of damage. But I think the most important aspect of this move is that Rorik has become unfrozen, and so we do not need to make an evasion check next round. And that's kind of something that I just came up with off the top of my head, so hopefully that's all fine with you guys. So that is Grub's turn, And surprisingly, Grub stays with Rorik. He's not going to run away, at least not yet. The big man is still here putting up a fight, so he's going to stay there too. And last but not least is the Wight's turn yet again. D6, let's see what happens. Another 5. I think this time though, he is going to grab Grub. So a D6 point of damage for Grub. 2 points. And so Grub actually has 6 hit points remaining, so 2 points will put him down to 4. So he's still alive and kicking. That puts Grub at a very bad spot. Let's draw for initiative. We have Rorik, then Jaina, then Grub, and then the Wight twice. So Rorik gets a 3. Okay. Jaina gets a 4. So she does get to go first, and she's just basically going to run the rest of the way. Grub gets a 5. So we've kind of been sticking to the middle here. So let's see, is Wight going first or is he going last? A 6. Okay, so that one, he's going last. And then we have a 9. All right, so the Wight is going last twice. So that does give Grub and Rorik some time to get out. Speaking of which, what is he going to do? What is Rorik going to do? He's going to follow Jaina. But he's also seen the valor of Grub. The Grub has stayed behind. And not only that, he may have actually saved Rorik. So Rorik is going to pick up the little frozen goblin and he's going to run. So unfortunately, he is not going to be able to dash because he is using an action to pick up Grub, but he is going to go. So he is at the end of the hallway at this point. So that means the Wight is going to catch up, unfortunately. Jaina is of course going to go the rest of the way, and she's going to make it into the antechamber where, well, I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there, but supposedly Quasimoon and his merry band of adventurers are waiting there. Which leaves Grub. He's going to make an evasion check. His evasion we're going to set at 10. So if he gets a 10 or lower, that means he's successful. And that is a 2. Wow, I would have been pretty upset if we spent one of our dragons on that. And so he is now unfrozen in Rorik's arms, though I don't think there's anything that he's going to do other than that. Which means it is the Wight's turn, and he's going twice. So that's not good. So the Wight is going to continue flying after Rorik and Grub. Let's roll that d6 and see what happens. A 1. Unholy roar. So once again, the Wight is going to let out this ghastly scream. And Rorik and Grub are both going to need to make a save. A will save, no doubt. Something that Rorik has not been too great at so far. So we're gonna roll for Grub and Rorik at the same time. Let's see what happens. Wow, and they both managed to succeed. Rorik got an 8 and Grub got a 6. So, hey, we actually managed to succeed right there, but unfortunately, the Wight does go again. Unfortunately, he rolled a 3, so the Hand of the Dead. The Wight raises its hand and gestures at a player character within 10 meters, who is thrown 2d4 meters away and lands prone. The attack inflicts the same amount of damage and cannot be dodged. So the Wight raises his hands towards Rorik and Grub. 2d4 points of damage, potentially. Let's see what happens. That is 4 points right on the dot. So Rorik does not take any damage, but he is flung into the next room with Grub in hand. And actually, let's see. Let's test Rorik to see if he can hang on to Grub. If he hangs on to Grub, then I don't think Grub is going to take any damage. He's like a seatbelt in this instance. But if he doesn't keep a hold of Grub, I think Grub is going to take that 4 points of damage. And that's going to be bad. So we're going to test Rorik's strength here, which is at a 13. So let's see. An 11 does succeed. So Rorik manages to keep Grub in his grasp as he gets flung into the next room, which is actually pretty good because he doesn't really have to move that much. But unfortunately, he is knocked prone. So he does need to stand up. And actually, this is rather weird because in the rules, standing up and going prone is a free action. It doesn't use move and it doesn't use your action. So this is kind of really awkward. He's knocked prone, but that really doesn't do anything because now it's the next round. All right, this is where things are going to be decided. Rorik and Grub. We're going to take Jaina out for now because she's in a safe place in the antechamber. And then the Wight is going twice. Rorik at 2. Okay, that's pretty good. Grub, if it should matter that Rorik releases him. 8. Uh-oh. Okay. The Wight. 9. Okay. Can we get a 10? 7. So he is going before Grub, but it might not matter because Rorik has him in hand. So for Rorik, I think it's safe to say that he is close enough that when he dashes, he is going to bring Grub and himself to the antechamber door, which he left open. Let's find out if Quasimoon is a good person. We're going to ask the Oracle. Is Quasimoon going to betray Rorik and Jaina? Maybe. Okay, I can work with that. So Rorik makes it into the antechamber, huffing and puffing, and he sees Jaina there in the center with Quasimoon and his band of adventurers. And I don't know if we've actually ever mentioned how many there are, but there's going to be 3 of those people, plus Quasimoon, so that makes 4 total. They're all there with Jaina, and Quasimoon turns as Scimitar, and he kind of points it at Jaina, and he's like, all right, whatever you got, why don't you hand over anything valuable, and we'll give you your sister. Of course, that's payment for letting you 2 out. I think Rorik is going to play it smart here. He's going to quickly get in his pack, and he is going to pull out this strange object that he got from the sarcophagus, and he's just going to toss it at Quasimoon. Quasimoon catches it, and Jaina uses this time to kind of rush forward. Not long after that, the Wight makes an appearance. All right, so we're going to draw for initiative, and this is a lot to draw for. So we have Rorik, Jaina, Grub, Quasimoon, his fellow band of adventurers, and then the 2 Wights, or the Wight twice. So that's 7 cards we're drawing right here. Rorik, 6. Man, we have really been hanging off in the middle here. Jaina, a 10. That's fine because she's kind of all out of WP at this point, so what is there for her to do? Grub, 5. Quasimoon, 3. Alright, he's going first, I guess. The band of adventurers, 4. So they will be going right after each other. And now the Wight. 8. And 7. So aside from Jaina going last, which really doesn't matter, the Wight is kind of going in a favorable position for us. So let's ask the Oracle a quick question, why don't we? We're going to see if Quasimoon is going to be a brave little mallard and fight, or if he's going to turn tail and run. So, will Quasimoon stay and fight? No. But as he turns to start to climb the rope, he is going to tell his fellow adventurers, alright, get rid of that thing. I'll keep the rope steady for you. But of course, he's already climbing the rope, leaving his fellow band of adventurers there. So, Quasimoon is going to be out of the fight potentially, which leaves his fellow band of adventurers. They see this threat here, and I think they're just gonna go for the Wight in this instance. So they're gonna pull out short swords, and they're just gonna rush for the Wight. Probably unsuccessfully. They have a skill level of 14, and the damage for the short sword is at a D10. So let us see what happens. A 13 is successful, so a D10. No bonuses, unfortunately, so rather strange. A 3 is not going to do any damage, so their blades kind of like clink right off of the Wight's shiny armor. So it is Grub's turn. This is rather unfortunate. But I think what's going to happen is Rorik is going to turn to Grub and he's going to say, "Start climbing, we need to get out of here." And so Grub is going to start to climb the rope after the mallard. Likewise, once Grub starts climbing, Rorik is going to start climbing the rope after Grub and the mallard, which leaves the Wight. Ooh, well, fortunately this band of adventurers are not in a very good position because the Wight is going to attack them, possibly twice. 2. Dreadful Gaze. An unlucky character stares directly into the Wight's horrible eyes as a wheezing sound is heard from the creature's throat. The victim becomes scared, suffers a fear attack, and gets a bane on their will rolls. So I'm just going to roll a simple d20 to see if the band of adventurers can, well, resist the fear attack. Their skill level for this will be 10. They rolled a 14, so unfortunately not, which means we're going to roll a d8 to see what kind of a fear effect they have. A 7. They are paralyzed. Uh-oh, that's not good. And of course it is the Wight's turn again, so let's see what he's going to do to these poor unfortunate souls. Another 2, which is a Dreadful Gaze, so they're going to become like doubly scared, I guess. So let's go ahead and roll to see what kind of a fear effect they have. And I should have pointed out, they actually do get a bane for this roll, so. Yeah, they failed. 10 and a 16 do not cut it, so another d8 to see what kind of effect we get. A 3 is Panting. The intense fear leaves you out of breath and makes you exhausted. So not only are these men scared out of their minds, paralyzed, but they're now exhausted. Jaina, seeing Rorik and Grub start to climb the rope, is going to follow suit, as a smart girl would definitely do. And so I think back on the surface as Jaina finally makes it up to the top, they start to hear screams from down below. Not screams from the Wight. Well, maybe screams from the Wight. There could be like horrific screeches, but definitely from the band of adventurers. They're not coming out of this alive by any stretch of the imagination. But Grub, Rorik, and Jaina have managed to make it out with the mallard, who's holding his, well, he's actually got a crossbow. So I would imagine that he's holding his crossbow. And I think as he has his crossbow out, he's just going to kind of say, "Well, no hard feelings, right? It's just business, and, well, I definitely need the business." And then Rorik is just kind of looking, "Yeah, right, business. Such as holding my sister hostage while there was a damn Wight chasing us." And then Quasimoon is like, "Well, no hard feelings, right? Say, I am in need of more employees. Why don't I put you and your sister and maybe even your little pet dog over there a permanent member of my band of adventurers?" And I think Rorik is going to contemplate this because it's possibly a job, like an actual job that could pay. And this would be something that they desperately need. They need the money. But at the same time, Quasimoon did put a sword to his sister. And that doesn't sit right with Rorik. And so he is going to pull out his sword and his shield. "I don't think I agree with your methods. First, not only did you point a sword at my sister, you've also left your men to die. What's to say that that won't happen to us when the going gets tough?" And Quasimoon just kind of says, "Well, a shame it should have come to this. Let's roll for initiative and see what happens." I think this is just going to be a duel between Rorik and Quasimoon. Jaina is not going to be of any help in this fight. She's out of breath. She's out of WP. Grub is kind of looking at Rorik, and then Jaina doesn't quite comprehend what's happening here. So for Rorik, a 6. Wow. Rorik has really been hanging on that 6 lately. Quasimoon, a 10. Okay. So, Rorik, he has a shield, he has a sword. The wind begins to blow as they just kind of stare at each other. And then he rushes at Quasimoon, and he takes his sword, and we're going to make a sword attack. 14 or under, let's see what happens. A 17 does not hit, unfortunately, so it goes clear over Quasimoon's head, but we're definitely going to push the roll here. we're going to say that we are now angry because, well, Quasimoon did put a sword to his sister. So, let's see what happens. A 2 does succeed. And so we have our 2d8 plus our d4. Let's see how much damage we're doing. By the way, Quasimoon has leather armor, so at least 1 armor there, and 14 HP. We could potentially kill him in 1 shot. Ooh! 5 and 5 make 10, plus another 2 is 12. Minus the 1 is 11 points of damage going right to Quasimoon. And so Rorik manages to swing clear over Quasimoon's head, but it's only a feint. He lets his anger control his movements now. And as he spins, he does like an uppercut with his sword and slashes deep into Quasimoon, who is now gravely damaged. So as the result of this attack, Quasimoon is going to drop his light crossbow, but he has a scimitar in hand, and so he's going to attempt to attack Rorik with it. Now he's actually pretty skilled with the scimitar. It's at a skill level of 16, and it will do 2d6 plus his d4 worth of damage. So let's see. Quasimoon, 16 or under to hit. A 14 unfortunately does succeed. 2d6 plus a d4. Rorik does have at least 6 HP, plus he's wearing his armor, so he might potentially be good, but he also might potentially be in a dire situation. Let's see what happens. Oof. That is rather unfortunate. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus another 6 is 14. Minus the 4 from his armor, that still puts him at 10. Rorik is taking some massive damage here. More than his total hit points. Alright, so this is actually the first time that we've had a situation of death come up. If your HP reaches 0, you drop to the ground and risk dying. You cannot move or perform any actions except trying to rally. So the way that rally works is that, let's say there's another character that's there. For this instance, Jaina. That character can make a persuade check to rally that dying character, which means that they stay up and fighting, but they still have to make death saving throws. Alternatively, the character that is dying can try to rally themselves by rolling a will check with a Bane. So for death rolls, on your turn in each subsequent round, you must make a death roll. A roll against your con. The death roll cannot be pushed if that optional rule is used. Record the results of your death rolls on your character sheet. After 3 successful death rolls, you recover d6 HP. After 3 failed death rolls, your player character dies. Rolling a dragon counts as 2 successes, and rolling a demon counts as 2 failures. If the combat ends, keep counting rounds until all death rolls have been made. And then there are also severe injuries, which we'll get to after this round. But basically, we're going to have to roll a Constitution saving throw, and if we fail, we get a severe injury. If not, we don't have to worry about it. So I think the first thing that we really need to do is to see if Rorik is going to rally. I don't think it's feasible that Jaina is going to use persuasion to try to rally him, so I think this has to come from Rorik himself. So he's going to roll a will at disadvantage, and we're going to see if he can rally himself. 9 or under for Rorik. Ooh, that was so close. A 2 and a 15, unfortunately, do not succeed. So Quasimoon manages to get the best of Rorik, stabs him, does something else. We'll see what that is with our severe injury, if we get one. And Rorik kind of just crumples down to the ground. A scream fills the forest. But it's not Jaina. It's Grub, of course. Grub is the only one that can really talk. Jaina's mute. Rorik falls down as his blood starts to seep out. And Quasimoon kind of holds this scimitar over Rorik. Alright, I'm just gonna back out of here, and you're gonna let me go. I wouldn't give chase, or else your dear little brother might bleed out. You get what I'm saying? And Jaina begins to nod. I don't want to see you, because if I ever do, I'm going to finish what I start. And he kind of like nudges Rorik with his foot and turns him over so he's facing up. Remember my name and remember my face.
For if you should ever see this face again, it will be the last thing you ever see.
And he takes his scimitar away, and he dashes out of Rittermound. Rorik is left bleeding out. Jaina scrambles over to her brother, and she begins to kind of pat him to anything that she can do. And then Rorik blacks out. And that is where we will leave things off for today.
No. Wait, brother. Stay with me. What will happen to the show if I have to deliver dialogue and exposition through sign language? Check back every other Thursday for a new episode of Table for One, a solo role-playing podcast. If you would like to support this podcast, please rate it or give it a thumbs up wherever you happen to be listening from. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, subscribe and be sure to leave a comment. Music was provided by Tabletop Audio and AI voice work by 11 Labs. Wait! I'll teach the goblin to talk, and it can be Rorik. Hopefully, it doesn't get eaten by a wolf.